Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant John PERRINE, the Public Information Officer for the Indianapolis District. The Roadshow is brought to you each and every week by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the State Police Alliance. For more information about our sponsor, you can visit them at www.indianasfinest.com. Thank you to MS Communications and Ms. Terry Stacy and Matt Hiblin and Kyle Knezvich for all they do each and every week to get us on the radio each and every week, every corner of this state. We appreciate everybody who airs this show and thank them for their support. Of course, the man behind the camera making us look really good on YouTube is Mr. Tom Trial. His efforts are so much appreciated, and he works so hard every time to get us out there on the YouTube channel. So check us out on the Indiana State Police YouTube channel. Also, lots of history and historic videos and documentation on that YouTube channel. So check out the Indiana State Police YouTube channel. It's free entertainment. So here we are today with my guest, a man who wears many, many hats, and we were running right into fall, and so he's got here with some kind of safety plans for some different events. Mr. Todd HARMESON from Madison County.
Good morning.
Good morning. Todd is the CAD director for the Madison County Sheriff's Department, or
for Madison County Central Dispatch.
Yeah, Madison County Dispatch. He's also a reserve police officer in Chesterfield. He's on the fire department there at Chesterfield as their PIO, and in the fall. He is the manager director of a large haunted house here in central Indiana. So we're going to be talking about several of those things and a lot of the safety procedures that go into those, because, man, it's hard to believe that we're knocking on the door of fall.
We are.
We were just talking about the weather this morning as we were walking in, and it's starting to get that fall feel a little bit. And I love that weather, but I don't like what comes after it.
Well, we all love the fall time. It's opportunity to get outside and enjoy, and like you said, Sergeant, getting out and enjoying some haunted house for the fall.
Yeah. And, you know, what's really important for people to know when they do choose to go to one of these haunted houses, and this year's going to be different, of course, with COVID guidelines, but is going to a reputable one. And that is because in front of you, for those that can't see him, is a very large red binder, and that's strictly their safety plan.
It is. It's
they
our emergency
try
response plan
to
right
think
there.
of everything. So let's kind of just go through what goes into a safety plan for a large venue that's going to be hosting something like a haunted house.
Sure. Well, number one is safety for not only the employees but our guests, and in order to do so, just like a community, we have an emergency response plan at our facility that talks about if there's a fire, a tornado, some sort of weather or man-made type event, even to, in today's world, an active shooter. Mm-hmm. So we train with our local first responders in Madison County, where the facility is within Adams Township Fire Department. So they were just out yesterday along with the Office of the State Fire Marshal to do their walkthrough, to make sure that we have our emergency exits well lit, to make sure that the aisleways are open and clear of debris, make sure that we have emergency lighting, those things that keep people safe in the event of an emergency at the facility.
And do you have people inside these facilities that their job is safety? Their only job is to monitor, maybe walk around and make sure everything's going well. Is there somebody that does that?
Absolutely. First and foremost, every employee on the facility is trained, and we talk about if you see something, say something, not only to our guests, but also to our employees. The employees all go through a fire drill, and we review with them how to quickly and safely evacuate the facility and getting the guests out of the building if necessary. But we also have police, fire, and medical staff on site. So a common setup for us is somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 police officers are on the property. We have 2 firefighters, and then, of course, police and fire, we're trained in medical response as well. And then we also have some civilians that are out there that are trained as what we call T-shirt security. So there's a very big presence of police, fire, and EMS when you come to one of these reputable haunted house facilities.
And it's important that we talk about the reputable ones because they do go through all of the steps, the fire marshal and the safety plans, and they're working with the local government officials and the local police and fire because safety is really important. You go into a lot of these things and there's a lot of moving parts per se. You've got smoke and heat and different effects and all that stuff. And sometimes it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. And so that's why it's important to have trained, reputable people there running that stuff.
Very much so. Over the course of different years and all around the world, there have been tragedies at haunted house facilities because of fire and things like that. So because of those things that happened back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, that paved the way to having these safety protocols that are there. And yesterday, earlier in the month of August, we had the state fire marshal came out, and they're required to do an on-site visit, and they're looking for those safety plans. We also participated in August with the Indiana State Fire Marshal, hosted a webinar or a call-in telephone meeting for haunted house operators to talk about the importance of fire safety and having these emergency plans. And at our facility, we're very proud of having the plan that we have, and we're considered one of the benchmarks in the state of Indiana for our emergency response plan.
Well, and that's one thing, as we always talk about, is the key to surviving an incident. The key to surviving an emergency is having a plan. And it doesn't have to be an elaborate plan, but you guys have a well-documented plan. But in an emergency, your employees aren't going to grab this book and flip to page 22. They've got to know this stuff.
Practice, practice, and practice. And for the guests, when guests go out to, whether it's to our facility or to any other facility, be alert. Watch for things, people that look out of place. And I'm not talking about ghosts and goblins and those kinds of actors, but look for other guests that, may look agitated or maybe look suspicious. Report that to the authorities there at the facility, and always know where your escape routes are at all times when you go to any type of public event.
Yeah, one thing we talk about in our unarmed response to active shooter program that we have is there's two things that will help you survive any situation, and that's situational awareness and knowing where exits are. You got to be aware of what's happening around you, and you've got to know where the exits are, because if you don't consciously notice those things, consciously notice the exits and the ways out, in an emergency, your mind will revert often to memory, and it's going to tell you to get out the way you came in, but that may not be the best way out.
Absolutely. And in a haunted house environment, it's already, number one, dark. There's fog or smoke in the air to create that illusion of fear. So you really have to have your senses on alert. And like you said, Sergeant, know exactly where your exits are. They're going to be clearly marked with reflective exit signs, illuminated, lit up, so that you can see in the dark at all times. And one other thing to add to your two steps there is, number 3, take a deep breath and remain calm. Because when you're calm, you'll think more clearly, and that can be one of the deciding factors to save your life if necessary.
Now, how does if somebody's going through one of these and all of a sudden they realize, hey, I'm done, or something's wrong, what do you suggest they do to get out? Can they talk to the actors and say, hey, I need help?
At every time, we train our actors. If somebody tells you stop, I'm done, no more, our actors are trained to stop. If they feel that the person's really having a panic attack or something that could lead to a medical emergency, our actors are trained to help get that citizen out of the environment and get them to where they feel that they're safe. But again, whenever you go through a haunted house like this, there's going to be marked exit signs. Use one of those exits, get out so that you can remain safe and you feel safe to yourself.
Now, something that you guys are planning for and dealing with this year that you never have before is the pandemic, the COVID-19. And I understand that you guys do have plans in place, much like other facilities that are going to be hosting haunted houses, to handle the COVID-19.
Yes, we will. The governor has issued, of course, we're at stage 4.5 right now. And with that being said, we had to submit a plan to the Madison County Health Department. And our plan talks about everything from social distancing to masks being required. At any time you're within the haunt, all of our actors are required to wear a mask. But also it's the cleaning that we will be doing during, after, and before the shows to keep our citizens safe, so that people do come back and have, number one, have a great time and come back time and time again.
Yep. And I know a lot of people are on the fence about, should I go out and do things? Should I not? And it really just comes down to a personal opinion. If you aren't comfortable, then don't go. And so, again, we don't want to deter anyone from visiting any businesses, but it comes down to a personal choice, and
it does. And we can take every step in the book to keep people safe. We're going to do everything that we can. All of our competitor facilities, they will have their plans in place. They'll be doing things to keep people safe. But like you said, it comes down to personal opinion. And, if guests are going to come to our facility, then they have to know ahead of time that we're going to require them to wear a mask when they're on the property. That's to keep them safe, other guests safe, and my employees safe as well.
So you've tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow, and our guest today is TODD HARMESON, and we're talking about safety at events this fall, such as haunted houses. And we're talking about the steps that all of these places are taking, that they take every year, now to include the COVID-19. And so talk about fire safety, because I can imagine, one thing I was shocked at one time is I went years ago through a haunted house in the dark, and it seemed like it was a huge building, but then we turned the lights on and checked it out, and it's really quite a small space. You just turned so many times that it felt. And so talk about fire hazard and fire evacuation.
So what we do is prior to opening for the season, we will do mandatory fire drills with all of our employees in the facility. But it goes back even before that, though. While we're doing construction, everything in the facility has to be sprayed down with a fire retardant protective on all the wood, the fabric, things like that, to slow the spread of a fire in the event that something did occur. The state of Indiana has very stringent electrical orders also that will help prevent that. And then in the event of a fire, remain calm. Our actors are going to get people evacuated, get you to the outside, so that our fire personnel that we already have on site, we actually have a Polaris, four-wheel Polaris that pulls a trailer. And on that trailer is called our fire skid. And it actually is a little mini pumper on that skid that we can pull into the building or outside of to actually, attack the fire if necessary before our local fire department can arrive even.
Have you ever experienced a live fire at the haunted house?
We have not.
Okay. Well,
and
that's
we do not plan to in 2020 either.
Yeah. No, and so we do appreciate all the efforts that go into these, and it's not just your facility, which is Indy Screen Park up in Madison County, but it's in right.
Yeah.
But all of them, and they're all putting in so much effort because a lot of people rely on the income from these, of course, as their business, and so it's important that they do things the right way. But it's also important that folks visit the ones that are reputable, that have gone through the proper steps.
You're correct.
What can somebody do to make sure that they have gone through?
Well, number one, when you're on site, look around, be observant. If you see police and firefighters and you see, staff there and the facility is clean and set up professionally, it's a professional organization. If you do have questions, though, you can reach out to the Indiana State Fire Marshal's office. Again, they permit us. They give us a permit every year. Somebody could follow up and get that information to make sure that it's a reputable haunt that's been approved by the state of Indiana.
Yeah, this is all great information. And we talk about haunted houses because that's kind of what our topic was today. But I want folks to think about everywhere they go, the grocery store, movie theater, restaurants, wherever like that. Think about your own personal safety plan every time you go to those.
That's right.
And what's neat is once you start consciously thinking about these plans, things start happening subconsciously. You'll start noticing exits. You'll start increasing your situational awareness. Maybe you'll sit with your back to a wall instead of a back to a big crowd of people. And so that's what it's about, is having your own individual safety plan so that you can keep yourself and your family safe.
Well, as we talk about this more and more, it becomes second nature to people. That should be our way of life, that we're alert, we're able to protect our families, and we know where our escape routes are, no matter where we're at, what environment we're in.
It seems like the hazards just keep piling on. So many years schools focused on fire alarms, and then, tornadoes and earthquakes, and then we throw in active shooter, and now they've got these COVID guidelines and things like that. And so it really becomes difficult, but your safety plans have to be simple and keep them simple. So Todd, we really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your knowledge about safety plans. And if you're going to visit a haunted house, make sure that you have that plan and that they have done the plan. Because it's hard to believe that we're rolling in September and almost October already. So You've been tuned into the Indiana State Police Road Show, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the State Police Alliance. I'm Sergeant John PERRINE with the Indiana State Police, and thank you to everybody for listening, and we will catch you next time.